All right, we're gonna call this meeting to order. Let's begin with the flag salute. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's do a roll call.
Commissioner Powers. Here. Commissioner Hauge.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner DiMattei.
Here.
Commissioner Dahlgren.
Here.
Commissioner Herzog.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome everyone. Today's meeting is held in person and online. Citizens who wish to comment virtually today should be prepared to comment via the Zoom platform. To join, click on the link on the Planning Commission homepage. Please make sure your microphone is muted. You may also call in using your toll-free numbers to hear the meeting at 888-788-0099, or you can call 877-853-5247. And please enter the webinar ID number, which is 862-5748-1622. And please press *6 to mute yourself if you're calling in. If you'd like to provide public comment virtually, please raise your hand with the hand icon at the bottom of the page. If you're calling in, please press *9 to raise your hand. Please be prepared to speak at the time I open public comment, and that can happen for items not on the agenda. It can happen for the consent items or a timed item. If attending in person today, we kindly request that once you have provided comment, you can return to your seat or leave through the exit-only door. And everyone will be entitled to 3 minutes of comment time. Thank you for your patience as we work to preserve the safety and health of all meeting participants and ensure that each citizen who wishes to comment has the opportunity to do so. We're going to go ahead and begin with the Planning Director's report, and George is going to provide that today. Welcome, George Rosasco.
George Rosasco sitting in for E.J. Evaldi today. I don't have much to report except that last Tuesday at the board we went forward with a code compliance update and suggestions about how to greatly move the process forward much more quickly and gain efficiency. It was very well received. So we will be going back to the board in the near future with probably a zoning text amendment to our code compliance ordinances, an update of our procedures manual, and also a request for additional officers and office staffing. Very well received, so I would think that code compliance will become much more efficient and effective in the near future. That's all I really have for you, unless you have any questions. Oh, thank you.
Okay, thanks, George. Let's go ahead and move on to open up public comment for items not on the agenda. So anyone here? Anyone online? Okay. All right, Patty.
You can go ahead and begin making your comments.
Hi, my name is Patty Neifer. I'm a Penryn resident, and I just wanted to make a comment on something that's going to be appearing on your next agenda on June 9th, I believe, so that you have a little bit of a heads up. It seems like a very small item, but it has been having a lot of community discussion. It's the conditional use permit for an event center being proposed in a closed restaurant in the Penryn Parkway Plaza. There's been some history there. There's been 2 MAC meetings where the owner has presented what he intends to do and the use permit, and those meetings haven't gone very well. The owner really had been operating the facility for several years without a use permit, and it came to a head when a paid private event with private entertainment and alcohol happened there in November, There were several more planned. The sheriff's department had to intervene, and there were loaded weapons in the cars in the parking lot. One of the main objections the community has is that the owner does not want to request security for any of the events. He says it's not his responsibility, that he basically hands over the keys, and that's how he wants to operate it. And for the next 24 hours, whoever rents the facility can do what they want with it. It's not his responsibility. Those are some really dangerous comments, I believe. The facility is right now the Penryn, called the Penryn 3M Event Center, and it's under an injunction. A court injunction is closed. The hearing will happen in January 2023, but the owner is requesting a conditional use permit to hold events, and that'll be on your agenda June 9th. There have been other things that happen at this owner's Penryn Plaza that involved legal action in the past. I just want to make sure that the commission is aware of those. There was a massage parlor there that had some actions of some legal actions against it. There was sex trafficking going on, and it's just the comments that the community I've heard.
Patty, you got muted somehow. Patty, if you can unmute, I'll give you a little bit more time. Somehow you got muted. Okay, maybe we can try to reconnect with Patty. Is someone else wanting to speak, or was that it? Okay. Patty, are you able to, can you unmute Patty? Patty, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm sorry, I don't think you can hear me.
We can now. We can. Okay.
Oh,
I'm going to
good.
give you.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to give you a little bit more time. About, I think you had close to a minute or so. It was on yellow right when you got cut off. So I'd like to give you a minute. Can we do that on the timer? Okay. Go ahead, Patty. Continue.
Yeah, that's about it. I just want you to know that there are 76 townhomes planned right next to it, to the the closed restaurant where the events are intended to be held. And the concern is that the owner, the 3M Event Center, and Mr. Mathiopoulos has not really even expressed any willingness to improve the facility, make any improvements in the parking lot, require paid security there so that the county isn't the one doing the security. And I think the only reason the events were stopped is because there is a court injunction now, and there's a hearing in January, and he's not allowed to hold any more events there. That's my comment.
Thank you, Patty. Just a question. Do we know the actual title of that item?
I believe it's
Oh, sorry, Patty, we're getting that from our staff. Thank you.
yes, Event Center, 3M Event Center conditional use permit.
Yes, so it is a 3M Event Center, and it will be heard, I think, at the next Planning Commission meeting.
Yeah, where's it located? Penryn, I got the Penryn part.
It's located in Penryn, right off of Penryn Road. There's a shopping center on the northeast side of it, behind the Chevron. So there's a Chevron and a 76 gas station on the north side of Penryn Road, just north of 80.
Okay.
And this 3M Event Center is on behind the Chevron. Used to be, I think, there used to be a bar stool store there as well.
It was the ground cow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't believe there's anyone else. Okay, I'm going to close public comment for items not on the agenda. We'll move on to consent agenda items. Commissioners, anyone like to remove a consent agenda items? It's our minutes. Anyone from the public? Oh,
Actually, Nathan,
Yes.
We could check with staff on this one, but my name was spelled wrong, so I just wanted to make sure that was corrected. Other than that, I don't have any comments on the minutes.
yeah. We should probably get that corrected. Can we approve this with that amendment?
I'll make a motion to approve with what the amendment as stated.
Yes, you can certainly approve it with the amendment. I'm not clear where the amendment is. Oh, got it. On the actual motions, yes.
Well, there's a number of places the name is spelled wrong, so do a find and search and just correct it.
We have a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment of correcting Commissioner Hauge's name spelling in a number of places. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Let's do a roll call vote.
I have a first from Commissioner Herzog and a second from Commissioner Hauge.
No,
That's,
I wasn't the first.
First from Commissioner Powers.
Yeah.
Yes. Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner DeMatte,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren,
Yes.
Commissioner Herzog.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things I noticed is that this name is spelled the same on today's agenda. So you might want to correct how the spelling should be.
Thank you, Richard.
So how do you want it spelled?
Hauge.
That's how it is here today.
Okay.
But I think on today's agenda, it appears to be accurately written. But on the prior agenda for the action items, I think there was a misspelling, which we will correct.
Did you see it spelt wrong on today's agenda, or we just,
What's that?
did you see it spelt wrong somewhere on today's agenda?
Well, here it's spelled just the way he.
Oh, yeah,
said-
that's not where it's spelt wrong. It's in the motion.
On the next page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the motion.
Okay. Yeah, well, this and this are the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're good. Okay, very good. We've got through our consent. Let's go ahead and move on to, what time is it? We'll move on to our timed item. So, start there. Okay, so, members of the public may now begin, calling in. You can press *9 if you're calling in, or raise your hand if you're online. Move on to our first timed item, a Double S Ranch Subdivision Map and Conditional Use Permit Modification and Extension of Time. And so we'll go, Alex is going to present on this item. Welcome.
Mic is on. Okay, there we go. And as the chair said, I am here to present on the Double S Ranch subdivision modification and extension of time request. So this is the project area here. The project site is located within the Dry Creek Community Plan area. It is bordered by Vineyard Road to the north and Cook-Riolo Road to the west here. And it is designated as rural low-density residential 1 to 2.3 acre minimum and zoned for single-family residential use, combining agriculture, combining a planned residential development designation of 1 unit per acre. The project, in addition to being bordered by Vineyard and Cook-Riolo Roads here, is also bordered by Creekview Ranch Middle School to the south. We've got open farmland to the east. And then we've got a combination of rural residential development to the north and west, as well as other planned residential developments. This is actually the Cabral Ranch project that's under construction right now, just to the west. On August 8th of 2019, your commission took action to approve a vesting tentative map and conditional use permit for this project and also adopted a mitigated negative declaration. At that time, you can see here, this is an illustrative map of the tentative subdivision map and kind of shows kind of the landscape plan. I thought that was a little better graphic than the tentative map, which is a little boring. The project consists of a 36-lot planned residential development on 37.25 acres. Lots range from slightly less than a half acre in size up to about 3/4 of an acre. There are 12 lettered lots, totaling 14.3 acres, or about 38% of the project area, that are designated for open space and resource conservation uses, as well as other project amenities, such as there's a recreation lot down here. This is the resource conservation lot, Lot E. We have an on-site private trail that wraps around the exterior of the westerly portion, or excuse me, the easterly portion of the subdivision. There's also open space lots around the periphery that do include a couple of drainage basins over here for stormwater mitigation, but also frontage improvements along Cookriello Road and Vineyard Road. There's actually an existing paved Class 1 trail that will be partly reconstructed up in this area, along with a berm, a landscape berm for noise mitigation, and then of course landscaping to buffer the project from the roadways. The applicant is requesting approval of a first 2-year extension of time for this project, which would allow the entitlement to remain valid through August of 2024. There is also a request to modify condition of approval number 3 to clarify maintenance responsibilities for rear yard fences backing onto HOA-owned common area landscape lots. So that's these lots here primarily, but also these lots as well. It's really all the lots. And that would effectively, the purpose of that modification is to shift the burden of the defined maintenance responsibility for the rear yard fences from the HOA, as it is stated in condition of approval 3, to the private lot owners. And the reason for that is that as the applicant has undertaken various initiatives to carry out their project, so they have gone through several rounds of improvement plan check. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I do believe that there's a final map that has been submitted as well, and they've been using the Department of Real Estate required budgetary methods to determine the HOA monthly dues for this project based on all of the amenities, and then of course the project improvements that are just compulsory, they're required for the project, like these stormwater detention basins. And what they've found is that the way they have structured the project to date is that the identified DRE budget, which I've included here and is included as attachment D to your report, has determined a monthly HOA burden that is substantially disproportionate to really what the market would bear. For this type of a project. It's nearly $600 per month per lot. And so there are some adjustments that they have undertaken of their own volition, where they are clarifying the types of improvements that are within the project area with respect to some things that were above and beyond, with respect to, say, for instance, the level of improvement of this trail. That is really at their discretion. It's not something that was conditioned, because these were project amenities that they voluntarily incorporated into the project. So using this trail as an example, instead of a decomposed granite trail, they are proposing now to simply have it as an earthen trail. It will be effectively what is called a user-made trail, right, by virtue of using the area. Some other modifications, like not irrigating the detention basins in the summer to keep them lush and green, instead allowing them to die back, will help to adjust downward that monthly HOA due to bring it in line with the market expectation. But the real big one that is the most meaningful, I think, just on its own line item budget, is the HOA fencing responsibility, shifting that to the private lot owners, which effectively it is their rear yard fencing, will save $131 per month. So with that one that is conditional to the project. That was defined as how we just generally, kind of a standardized practice. Sometimes when things are part of a common area lot, we will say it's an HOA responsibility. Shifting that to the private property owners will save $130 a month. It is a tubular steel, like a powder-coated type of a steel fence. That's a 50-year lifespan on that product. So staff agrees that that will help to bring in line the budget to a more consumer-friendly. I think it's around $325 a month, along with the other adjustments they are proposing to make on their own. So with that, that is the proposal, an extension of time and a modification to condition of approval number 3 for the use permit to make that singular adjustment. I will say just quickly, with respect to the applicant's demonstration of diligence of carrying out their project over the last 3 years. As I noted, they have submitted improvement plans. Those improvement plans have been through 4 rounds of plan check. They're close to being approved. And I see here in my notes, we do have a final map that has been through 3 rounds of plan check and is also nearing approval. Resource permits in support of receiving approval from the Placer County Conservation Plan are underway. The applicant has also completed a minor boundary line adjustment with this neighbor to the north to adjust the project lot boundary to what has historically been understood to be the respective property boundaries. And as I said, lastly, they have undertaken extensive feasibility analysis. That includes working with, I believe, 2 prospective developers that have investigated purchasing the project, and this kind of came up as an item that needed to be resolved for the project to be better positioned to be carried out. So with that, I can get there we go. Staff is recommending that your commission approve the proposed subdivision map and conditional use permit modification and grant this first 2-year extension of time request for the Double S Ranch project in reliance on the previously adopted mitigated negative declaration in accordance with the findings in staff's report. I do have the applicant representative here with me today, Dave Cook of Cook Consulting Services. He would like to speak on this matter a little bit, and he has a few slides that he would like to go through. And I believe we may also be joined by an applicant representative online. I do see Fritz Harrisglade is with us as well. He is one of the project representatives on behalf of ownership. With that, that concludes my presentation, and I can answer any questions you all may have for me before turning it over to Mr.
Brief
Cook.
question.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
Mr. Chair, remember when we first looked at this, we talked about a sidewalk along Cookery Road?
Yeah.
And I guess that is still in the project, is that correct?
Correct. It is I don't recall off the top of my head if it is a full Class 1 facility, but it is a paved trail that goes along Cookery Road, and that is in place now. That is something that the county advanced.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I agree that I live in the neighborhood in the area, that $596 a month is not normal HOA fees for that area. The question I have is about the fence savings. If it looks like from the map, 23 of the properties would have that view fencing, only the ones that touch the HOA property. How did they come up with, they would save 103 per lot per month on a fence that's got a 50-year?
Yeah. I think Mr. Cook will probably be better able to answer that question. My understanding is that probably an amenity like that is equitably spread among all of the lots because it is a subdivision-wide type of an improvement, even though it might not be, for example, these interior lots would not have that fence improvement, right? These ones here. But I think Mr. Cook will
It's more
probably
the
be able to.
cost of the maintenance, because it doesn't cost that. It's a 50-year fence. I have that same fence. It doesn't cost
Agreed.
$100 a month to maintain it.
My understanding is that Department of Real Estate publishes, kind of a line item list of budgetary requirements, and for certain types of improvements, depending on how they're programmed, the DRE formula says this is what you have to calculate into your monthly HOA budget. But again, I'm not directly involved in those procedures.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll ask Mr. Cook. We'll ask Mr. Cook when he comes up.
excuse me?
We'll ask Mr. Cook when he comes up.
Okay.
Do you have more though? Okay. Might be depreciation. Anything else? Okay, well, let's bring up Dave Cook for questions. And did you hear the question well enough to maybe address that? Okay.
Good morning, Dave Cook, Cook Development Consulting Services. Thanks for your time this morning. Alex, thank you for a very thorough staff report. I just thought it might be helpful to provide a little context and background on this. I think the ask and what we have here in front of us for the extension and the modification of conditions is pretty straightforward, but I think this is a unique enough property that it warrants taking a step back and giving you a little background and history on this. And so in that regard, the double S name comes from Sawtell and Shell House. Those are the two families who owned this property. The Shell House family came out from Michigan in the mid-1800s, 1860-something, brought their cattle to the west and owned most of the property from the corner of Cucuriolo and Vineyard down to PFE and almost the city boundary, is my recollection. And Florence Shell House married Ernest Sawtell in the 1800s. And that family, and you can see the name here, William Sawtell and Company, I believe that William Sawtell was the product of that marriage, and he founded Roseville Banking Company in 1906. I believe that was the first bank in Roseville, and served as that city's first mayor when they incorporated in 1909. So sort of an interesting history here that I think helped inform this family in terms of how they wanted to proceed with the entitlements on this. I got involved in 2017, and Fritz Harris Glade, who is on Zoom, as Alex indicated, is a family representative, serves as an architect, and acknowledged and appreciated the history of this property. And rather than put a sign on this, find a developer who might pay top dollar and go do their thing, the family really wanted to control what might end up happening here. And so decided to undertake the entitlement process themselves, which is not, as we know, not for the weak at heart and not for those who are uninitiated or uninformed, but they did it. And Fritz has been through this, but it's been an interesting challenge because he's got multiple family members who have not been through it. So back in 2017, we started this. We proposed to align the entry on Cucuriolo opposite the Cabral Ranch, which is a 12 one-acre lot gated neighborhood that Alex made reference to. Did our planning thinking that was going to work. ESD came back and said, no, we really don't want more trips on Cucuriolo. Had to re-engineer it, move it up to Vineyard, which created a whole litany of other problems. So it's been an interesting, bumpy path, but we've got what we think is an absolutely beautiful project of these half-acre plus lots in this gated neighborhood. But one of the other challenges of this site is that it's blessed with about 2.5 acres of wetlands, including vernal pools. This is the only project that I've got out of about 10 that I'm working on today. It's the only project that will benefit economically, financially from the PCCP, because the cost to mitigate those vernal pools will be more cost effective through that program than it would be through the conventional permitting. Having said that, even though that was adopted by the board last year, there's still been some moving pieces. We're still, well, I should say we're finally at a point where now a buyer of this property could go in and basically execute that permit and move forward with the site work. But to be clear, and Alex alluded to this, this family is not going to develop the property. They've had a number of suitors on this, and the most recent one is where we discovered this problem with the DRE, Department of Real Estate budgeting process. And so to Commissioner Dahlgren's question, the Department of Real Estate, when they look at these things, as Alex indicated, they've got their line item budget. So they have an assumed useful life. And for this fence, I believe it's only 10 years, which is sort of silly because these things, if they're properly maintained, will last for 30 to 50 years. But that one item, when that buyer came back and said, time out, we've got a problem here. We can't market these homes and have a nearly $600 a month HOA dues line. We had to go back through and find out, well, what can we do to help cut those costs back? Alex indicated on the landscaping plans, those are all self-inflicted, and this is in an effort to really have an attractive project there. But our focus had to be, what are the things that we can change internal to the project, not gonna have any effect on what the neighbors or passersby might see, and then what are the other big-ticket items? And interestingly, the largest item, which is that open iron fence, is about the only item that the conditions of approval were specific on in terms of requiring HOA maintenance as opposed to having each of the homeowners maintain their own rear fence. That can be addressed in the CCNRs, so the HOA still has enforcement rights to make certain that people do take care of the fence, that it'll all be the same standard material and paint, et cetera. But that one item is in that $100 range based on the DRE budgeting, both for maintenance and then their reserves for replacement. And then there are a handful of these other items that we think we can pare that back and get those monthly dues down to a number that's going to be more acceptable in this marketplace. And ironically and painfully, that's all the more important today as the interest rates start to climb and start to impact what folks will be paying on their mortgages. So with that, and we've got a couple of other, I should take advantage of them. Why is it not moving out for it? There it is, okay. There's a couple of other shots of this, the grocery store that the Sawtelle family built, Pacific and Lincoln Streets. If you're familiar with Old Town Roseville.
I hate to interrupt you, but could we get to the recommendation part?
Sure.
The history lesson?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So this is just on the edge of what is now the existing railroad tracks. This is the wetland delineation that I referred to before. So with that, and to your point, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I appreciate your consideration this morning to grant the extension of time and the modification of conditions. Thanks.
Questions? Questions? Not seeing any. Thank you. I do want to give an opportunity for Fritz. I know he's available. If Fritz wanted to say a word or make a comment.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Fritz. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to bring this to your attention. Yeah, it's been a long road and interesting, and we've been pioneering the PCCP process. So the challenge that we have is that most of the family members now are aging, and we've had, since this process started, we've lost a couple of them already. So we would just like to move along and hopefully sell this project to a reputable developer and be done with it. So, you know, as it was said previously, we tried to do something that was, you know, not trying to stuff as many units as we could in there. We were trying to do something that was a little bit more acceptable, and that's basically it. But this issue with the HOA is one we didn't expect, and it did actually result in us losing a buyer because of it. So we'd like to try to move on if we can. Thank you.
I do have a question on attachment D, second page where it says adjusted DRE budget 317.97. Underneath that, it says target DRE budget 250. What is the difference? Attachment D, second to last page, Double S Ranch, DRE budget estimate, adjusted DRE budget 317. I'm guessing that's the new HOA monthly assessment fee?
That is the anticipated adjustment with the assumptions listed above.
Right.
And the target DRE budget is what this last home builder had said was their optimal direction. So that's just sort of a guide or a baseline for where we'd like to try to get.
But that's not what you're asking for today.
We're not asking this commission to directly affect the DRE budget, simply modify the condition allowing us to remove the fence maintenance. The budget will end up being what it will be once the plans get revised and we get in that process with another buyer.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Dave, will the homeowners be able to put a gate on those fences, or will that be not permissible if they wanted to go out their backyard to go to these walking trails?
That's a good question, and that's something that would be up to the builder. I can imagine that those lots along that eastern edge, it would make sense for them to have direct access to that buffer corridor for use of that trail. But that's not something that we're going to attempt to dictate, because each prospective builder or buyer may have their own viewpoint on that.
And the maintenance on the back side of the fence will be maintained by the HOA?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes the presentation. I'm open up to public comment at this point. So, is anyone from the public wishing to speak on this? You can raise your hand. Not seeing anyone. Are you seeing anyone? Okay. I'm going to close public comment. Since we didn't have anything, if commissioners, we can move it to discussion and a motion. If we need to bring someone back up, happy to do that for you.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay.
And this would be my first time to just read off what it says here. Okay. I'll make a recommendation to approve the proposed subdivision map and conditional use permit modification and grant this first 2-year extension of time request for the Double S Ranch project in reliance on the previously adopted mitigated negative declaration and in accordance with the findings in staff's report.
Second.
We have a first and a second. We'll do a roll call vote.
Good question. She didn't mention the PLN number. Does that have to be mentioned in there?
You want me to read that too?
It's not necessary for
I didn't
purposes of the
think
motion.
Just,
Thank
okay, thank you.
I have a first from Commissioner Powers and a second from Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Hauge,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner DiMattei,
Yes.
Commissioner Dahlgren,
Yes.
Commissioner Herzog.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, it's a recommendation, so we don't need the appeal.
This is actual action, but the appeal rights are only granted to somebody who provided comment or spoke at the meeting. Since there aren't either of those, there would not be anyone who would have appeal rights, but
Should I read it?
might as well read it in abundance of
Okay.
caution.
Okay, decision of the planning commission may be appealed by anyone who appeared at today's hearing and provided comment, or anyone that submitted written comments on this item. An appeal must be filed within 10 days of today's date and shall be accompanied by a filing fee of $641. That concludes our meeting, so we're adjourned.